Let me be who I wanna be. I grew up in a family that was very intellectual. You know, education, both my parents work in the educational space. A lot of y'all might relate. So education was very, very prominent in my household. I remember, my mom always talks about it. My brother learned to read at 2, I learned to read at 3. By toddlers, we were already into books. We were already getting our minds nurtured. And honestly, a lot of people praise my mind. And look, as much as I might try to be humble and sit down, I'm a pretty smart motherfucker, right? And I have my parents to thank for that, because honestly, my thirst for knowledge and my capacity for knowledge is really influenced by them and the type of household I grew up in. And the mind is great and the mind is awesome, but the mind is also masculine energy. And if you've been watching my channel, you know this. If you haven't been watching my channel, I probably explained this. I'm not going to get into it for the sake of time, and I don't want to just go off path. But basically, since the mind is masculine energy, when left to its own devices, has no other motive, no other end goal, but just imploding on itself. Masculine energy upon masculine energy becomes pride. It becomes, you think you can control the world. You think you have power over everything. And before you know it, it's all gone. So when you're so mental, when your mind is focused on so much, when you're so identified to that, and your mind inevitably has so many thoughts, it starts to spiral out of control. Because that's the thing. My mind was already, since I was born, it already had that special touched quality to it. You know what I'm saying? Like the type of person I am, the type of things I've been into, somewhere or another, that interest has always come out. When I was younger, it would go from drawing to making videos to making music. That creative aspect of my mind that I really is the only path I've ever just stumbled upon and wanted to walk on my own devices. That's where it's lied. But I grew up with this conditioning to want to end up as, a corporate boss in, this corporate ass world. I was raised with the expectation that I was going to end up in corporate America, and I was going to be doing that, and that's the type of job I was going to have, and all this, that, and the third thing. But the thing about being touched, and I don't mean physically, this ain't, look, my heart goes out to you if you have gone through that. But when I say touched, I mean like mentally. The thing about being touched is that I always had a very sensitive soul, right? And I didn't know it at the time, but this was what really drove me. This was what really defined my inner perception of myself. Because, throughout school and everything, teachers and shit, they'd be like, oh, you're so smart, you're so this, you're so that. And I never saw it that way, not because I didn't believe them, but just because I didn't go throughout the world like that. I went throughout the world. I identified more with when I would feel hurt or when I would feel happy or when I would, get all antsy. I identify more with that than anything. And when I do the MBTI test now, I don't know whether to be a feeler or a thinker, because I was truly naturally born a feeler, but raised a thinker. And that dichotomy, it has afforded me a lot of perspective and intelligence that a lot of other people can't really come across. But at the same time, damn, I wish my soul was nurtured more, man. Like, growing up in that type of environment, I'm not saying I grew up in like an emotionless household. No, my parents were there very much so for me emotionally, but like that emotional side of me wasn't nurtured. It would be like, you get hurt, something happened, you cry. It's more so stop crying than trying to get to the bottom of why you crying and really trying to alchemize that. Because a lot of people to this day, a lot of people who are doing very well in the world, they still don't understand the very basic science of alchemizing your emotions and truly understand the power of that energy. I didn't know as a child that those strong emotions I felt were a part of my energy, the energy I needed to harness to truly embrace myself, to really feel like a whole person. Because I'm not going to lie, as a kid, they kept teaching me to stomp out my emotions. And the thing is, they try to make a nigga 35 by 15, bro. Like, if you go on the motherfucking school track and you in the AP college classes, it's like your options are narrower, bro. The teachers and the guidance counselors will be telling you about how exciting it is that you should either choose to be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, they'll give you 8 options, 8 of the highest earning positions, and see, look, that's what you can do. Not knowing that some of us who may show up well on tests or may seem to have a very novel intelligence, some of us, it's not all mental. You couldn't just condition I don't just have a blank mind that you can condition into wanting the success of a mechanical engineer, wanting the success of a doctor, wanting to be looked at with as someone with that intellectual prowess, to be looked at and bestowed power upon. That was projected onto me and conditioned into me so much, I never got the chance as a young child to truly delve into who I actually was. Because as soon as I started getting into who I actually was, that differed from the narrative that, you know, society, my parents wanted me to believe in for myself, then I was convinced that, oh no, it's just a little divergence. See, you just having an emotional moment. But in reality, this is how it really is. But it's like, what if those moments make up me as well? What if, you know what I was saying? What used to piss me off is when I would have these creative pursuits in high school and my dad would say something like, oh, yeah, you could write about that on college application. Like, what the, like, I love my dad, but it's just that same mentality of, yo, I don't fucking do this for real world appreciate. I don't do this so somebody else sees me as a valuable candidate and makes me work for it. That's not why I do this. I do this because my soul tell me to, because I have one. This isn't me saying who has souls and who doesn't. I'm just saying some of us have that aspect about ourselves that when tapped into and integrated, shit, a lot of us, because of societal conditioning, we end up depressed and shit, because while we're supposed to be gaining our battery life from our soul, society's like, nah, it's from your mind, and your mind goes a mile per minute, and you start to wonder what's wrong with your mind. You think something's wrong. What if you're not supposed to be even living in your mind like that? I'm starting to think about that, man. I'm starting to get more comfortable with feeling slower as a person. Like, sometimes a motherfucker will be talking about something and I don't get it. And I'm trying to understand that that's okay, because the need to be the person that understands everything is born from that pressure in the classroom that teachers, parents, guidance counselors gave me to, oh, see, you're smart, so you got to appear that way. And now, you know, it evolved into some compulsive type need to feel like I'm the smartest in the room, or feel like I'm among the smartest in the room. So much so, when someone's talking about something on a level where it's like they're enlightening me, I don't know how to feel. I'm not like a dickhead about it, like, oh, I knew that. Like, I'll be weird. I'll be like, oh, I didn't know that. Like, I'm getting used to the feeling of actually directly being educated, because for so long the education system has been based on the fact that you're able to regurgitate information. And I was so praised for that ability to just know what teachers wanted, to just know what people wanted to hear, to know what the good response looked like. I'm a divergent thinker who is so divergent, they ended up being able to manipulate their whole brain into appearing good at convergent thinking. But I'm realizing the more and more I try and practice convergent thinking, the more and more I chip at my soul, because I'm not made for that. The more and more that I, feel that pressure to be a convergent thinker, I feel that pressure to be the guy getting all the answers right, being the smartest person in the room. I'm like, is that even my pressure? Like, why do I even see myself that way? Do I think that do I really deep down get any value out of being the smartest person in the room to, like, my soul? Do I truly, the truest version of I you can imagine, as true as a singular identity gets you, does that person really crave intellectual validation, or does that person put expression first? Does that person put authenticity first? Because the more I wake up to myself, the more I'm starting to, like, put forward authenticity. And it's making me rethink my relationships and what type of relationships I like to have, what type of people I like to have relationships with. I'm starting to realize I might like to have relationships with people who help me feel more at ease within myself, with people who, I can laugh with. Some people like to have discussions with people they can think with and toss ideas. I can do that for a little bit, but that gets exhausting. I'm starting to realize my friendships that endure are, they're like healing ones. They're like, we can laugh together. We can talk about emotions and feelings. Some people, you could talk about ideas for hours and hours, but shit, man, I'm starting to think that I just don't see the intrinsic value in that. And I was convinced to see that my whole life. I got so good at, and maybe a part of me is good at that convergent thinking. And maybe a part of me does have those aspects about my brain, but is it really is it the right factory setting for my brain? And more importantly, is it the right lens to be seeing myself through? Because seeing myself through that lens, I've only ever had a shit self-esteem. And once I let myself be a little slow, let myself be emotional, a little irrational, then I start to feel like I actually have a place in the world. Like I have a place in the world. Not the person I invented to impress people, but I do have a place in the world. Because the person that I invented to impress people felt like an outsider, felt like a fucking loser, felt like, even despite striving to appear like I did, like on top of things, I felt like a fucking loser. Now, I mean, shit, I have confidence because I am, and I'm confident in just being. I don't have to be anybody else. I'm starting to realize I don't have to be the smartest person in the room, and I'm trying to get used to it, because what if my identity, my proclivities, everything I've ever wanted in life is on the other side of this person I've been convinced that I had to be, this mentality I've convinced that I had to have, these things I'm convinced that I had to do, when really it was just people seeing what, you know, my mind had going on and projecting things onto it. Because some people, if they were like really smart, they would just walk around feeling narcissistic and good about themselves all day and hot in the ass about it. Me, I'm a little different. And maybe that difference needs to be respected. Maybe, just like the first video I came back with, like, I'm only interested in 1111. I'm only interested in talking to people if they trying to let me be who I want to be. You know what I'm saying? Let me do me. Let me be fucking problematic. Let me be fucking erratic. Let me be operatic. Let me be a fucking spastic. Shit. I'm a little gay too. Let me be a friend and an ally to the LGBT community. See, like, I even feel like I spend a lot of time on this channel trying to portray myself as some sort of authority on things. I mean, you hear it from the horse's mouth. I'm not. I'm a fucking guy. A crazy guy. A psychopathic guy. Was that scary? Look, man, I'm just a fucking guy, okay? And for some odd reason, I feel like these conversations should be documented, started, and I feel like other people can relate. So if you can relate, make sure you subscribe and like and comment down below what else I should talk about. Comment down below what you want to hear my opinions on. Because Lord knows, sometimes I just be improvising these bitches based on what's bothering me for the day. So I want to know what's bothering you, and I want to think about it and filter it through me. Because I'm going to probably go way off topic, and it's going to be entertaining as hell. This is a community, y'all. So make sure you subscribe and participate. And make sure you go out and be who you want to be and not who anyone's convinced you to be. Be that person who sometimes people told you not to be. Just be what makes you resonate within yourself. And sometimes you need to go figure that out. But once you do you.